Over the next few weeks, This Is America visits Japan, a country rich in tradition and undergoing a historic period of transition. We'll take a look at Japan's government, trade, economy, culture, and people, as well as seeing the sights and hearing the sounds of a country of great complexity and stunning beauty. We'll learn about what's on the horizon for Japan, the role of women in the workforce, continuous technological innovation, and the hosting of the 2020 Olympics. On this program, we'll learn about Japanese culture, from traditional tea ceremonies, temples, and shrines to modern manga comics. Japanese culture is incredibly deep and vibrant. You really should experience it for yourself. This is America and the World is brought to you by the National Education Association, the U.S.-China Education Trust, and the F.Y. Chang Foundation, guided by Ambassador Julia Chang Block, President. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. ANA, Japan's largest airline with an extensive network throughout Asia. Japan, history, hospitality, and advanced technology, sharing tomorrow. The Republic of Kazakhstan, a rich history and a future of development and growth. The Rotendaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings, and Ventana Productions, television facilities, editing, and distribution services. Why choose Japan for a vacation? We got the answer in a lively conversation with Commissioner Shigeru Kubo of the Japan Tourism Agency. If someone's planning a vacation, why would they choose Japan?
In
my view, Japan offers 5 attractiveness as a tourism destination. First attractiveness is that Japan has 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. So Japan can offer very plentiful nature and also beautiful sceneries for those who are coming to Japan. And also, secondly, Japan is endowed with rich history and tradition. And thirdly, Japan offers a unique culture. Fourthly, Japan is safe, secure, and clean. And fifthly, this is most important, Japan has a very delicious foods to offer.
What is the population of Tokyo?
Population of Tokyo is about 10 million. However, we have a Tokyo metropolitan area, which is bigger than Tokyo. And in this metropolitan area, the population is 30 million.
And what's the population of Japan?
About 130 million.
People are very welcoming, very warm. They are very, very respectful.
We receive many foreign tourists in Japan, and most of them go back with fond memory of Japan and Japanese people being kind and polite.
If you were the tour guide, what would you take us to see?
In Shibuya, there is a Shibuya Scramble intersection, and this is what has been advertised by foreign visitors to Japan as an interesting destination. If you go to Shibuya intersection from 4 different corners, when the traffic light turns green, there will be so many people walking and crossing the street from various different angles. However, people are accustomed to it. They are professionals, so they don't clash each other.
You paint a wonderful picture of a world-class city, Tokyo. Tourism. Now Japan is reaching out to bring people as tourists. Talk a little bit about that.
In 2013, 10 million foreign tourists visited Japan, and we aim to double that number to reach 20 million by the year 2020 when we host Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games. And I believe that Japan is a country full of attraction that deserves to welcome 20 million foreign tourists. I think Japan is something like a treasure box for adults. That means in this box you have a lot of very appealing things in it. Very attractive, interesting. For example, very beautiful nature, tradition, culture, and foods to offer. So if you open up that treasure box, you'll be very satisfied.
We had a chance to meet with the famous calligrapher Shishu. Her work is seen in many different forms: painting, film, television, three-dimensional sculpture, and modern art installations. Her art reflects both tradition and innovation. Shishu was kind enough to show me around her studio and gallery and explain the importance of calligraphy to Japanese culture.
For me, calligraphy is self-expression. Of course, letters or characters are used to record or share information, but for me, calligraphy is a self-expression.
Were you, as a child, interested in drawing or art or even calligraphy?
I myself learned calligraphy as an out-of-school curriculum, but I think calligraphy was a good lesson for me for Desan, for example. So this calligraphy lesson is to transform the model to the practice on the paper. So we have to look carefully the model letters, and we have to transfer that onto my own paper. I learned calligraphy for 10 or 20 years. I took lesson of calligraphy. So I had a skill to control brush strokes freely, and I was able to create very thin, subtle line or bold line. So I can control the stroke of brushes.
Do you think that calligraphy tells us something about Japan?
The most important thing about calligraphy is that the fact that I cannot redo the line just one time. If nobody see me, I do not redo the line, same line again. We cannot redo on the paper.
But that says something about the culture, huh?
This same thing can be applied to the atmosphere right after the earthquake. People would not steal anything from anybody, even in the time of chaotic period.
So what's next for you? What's the future? I mean, that's something to look forward to, but in your art, where do you think you'll go next?
I'd like to communicate with people around the world. I'd like to let them know about Japanese culture and Japanese philosophy through art. So when people look at my work, I hope they will be interested in Japan or in calligraphy or in Japanese culture.
Tea is very important in Japanese culture. We quickly learned in the marketplace that tea was in focus everywhere. To learn more about what tea means to the Japanese people, we had the unique opportunity to visit a famous tea house in Kyoto, which has been run continuously for 13 generations. There we observed a traditional tea ceremony, participate in one ourselves, and speak with the tea instructor. What is the lesson of the tea ceremony?
I
think that tea ceremony is one of the ways to find out the sense of beauty and aesthetics in the Japanese traditional culture. And by going through the tea ceremony, you can enhance your personality, and also you can enhance yourself as a person. You also come to learn through the tea ceremony the culture of hospitality, entertaining and serving to the guests.
The tea ceremony is very calm, very graceful, very elegant. What does that say about Japan?
In a nutshell, the tea ceremony is about entertaining the guest with the best possible tea that you can ever make. Before the guest comes, you do all the preparations in your house, in your room, such as spraying the water over the garden and also cleaning up every corner of the room, the tea room, and also putting the picture scroll or hanging picture in the corner of the room, and also arranging the flowers beautifully in the flower vase that will be sitting in the room, and also picking up the best utensils such as the tea ball for the guest. And then when the guest comes, you prepare the tea from scratch, that is from the water, and then you serve the tea. And the guest on the receiving end are also supposed to appreciate the masters and hospitality. And in order to do this, there needs to be a very calm state of mind and a serene state of mind.
Japan is home to thousands of Buddhist temples and Shinto shrines. Inari is the Shinto god of business, and people come here to pray for their own prosperity. This shrine in Kyoto is dedicated to his honor. Our guide, Chika Yoshida, explained further as she showed me around.
3 days of the New Year, the 2.5 million people are visiting this shrine.
And why do they come to this shrine?
For praying for the happiness in the New Year.
Happiness in the New Year.
Actually, this god is very famous for the prosperity in business. So many businessmen especially came here.
Shall we go inside?
Yes, let's go inside.
There was lots of activity with people praying, enjoying the scenery, and buying souvenirs. The shrine is famous for a stunning chain of gates which lead you higher up the mountain where there are additional shrines. I had my fortune read, but the fortune was sadly grim.
Now you have a bad fortune. The person who you are waiting is not come. And this is disease, about disease. When you get a bad fortune, you can tie this paper over there and pray to God.
And Chika showed me what to do with a bad fortune.
Here you can just leave your bad fortune and get a good fortune.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
And we said a small prayer for a good fortune.
And twice, bow twice. And clap twice. And make a wish. And bow again.
Religion plays a vital role in Japanese history and culture, and in the same way that Christianity has impacted the West and Islam the Arab world, Buddhism has impacted the East. In a complex of over 40 temples, I met with Reverend Matuyama, who spoke to me about Buddhism and showed me around the beautiful temple grounds. Zen Buddhism. Is there something unique or special about Zen Buddhism? What does that mean?
Yeah, so Zen is of course a part of Buddhism, but please imagine the Mount Fuji.
Yes.
It's a very big mountain. So the summit is the Buddha. But we have, so it is very hard to walk all over the Mount Fuji. But we take some path to reach the goal, to the summit. So we have many paths to reach the summit. But so each path cherish some aspect of Buddha. So in Zen, we cherish the Buddha's character. So more simply speaking, what we cherish what Buddha did. So we cherish the practice and the experience. For example, now I drink the tea, and I explain you how tasty it is. So it is a little bit bitter, but it is drinkable and a slight flavor. But however I explain you how tasty the tea is, you will never know unless you drink it. So this is Zen. So Buddha practiced a very hard training, and he got enlightenment. So that's why we practice the same thing as Buddha did, and we try to find what it is like for ourselves. So that is the Zen way. So we highly cherish the experience and practice.
If you took all the people in Japan, 130 million, and you made them all into one person, what would be the qualities of the values of the Japanese person? If you made them all one person, you here, right in front, what do you treasure? What are your values? What do you believe in? Not the religion part, not the psychology part, but is it...
As a Japanese?
Yeah. Is it honesty? Is it integrity? Is it... tell me.
Think loyalty and kindness.
While Japan has a strong connection with its past, it has also developed its own modern culture. Manga comics and anime are a fun part of today's Japan. Japan has a fascinating museum dedicated to the history of manga, where we spoke with a professor of manga, Kazuma Yoshimura. For the people who might not know, how do you define manga?
Actually, it is such a part of people's life in Japan, and it's a way of visual art and with the paper and also pencil. But in fact, the manga is so familiar and so close to everybody in his or her life, so we really take it for granted, just like air. In a way, it is very close to the comic books that you have in America, but I think it goes beyond that. That is the characters and the world that the readers encounter through reading the comic books. As the readers read the comic books, they develop a sense of imagination and a sense of particular world in a manga way. There are many different genres of manga. Well, for example, there's like mangas for adults, for children, and for men vis-a-vis the manga for women. I think there are two types of readers, in other words, two facets to manga, and this is also the characteristic of the Japanese manga. That is that one type of reader would utilize a manga for information gathering, but the other type of the readers, in particular the adults who've continued to read the manga books, they do it for entertainment. So they don't force themselves to read the mangas to gather information or to learn, but they find themselves reading mangas before they know it.
As we pass through, we see little children laying on the floor and reading, and in different areas, people sitting on the staircase or at a little table, some people drawing. There's a lot of activity here, but it's quiet activity.
Well, it's a very wonderful word to hear to us, because compared with the ordinary libraries where people tend to kind of make noises, talk with each other, this is a place where the manga fans really can devote themselves to reading the books, and they can be by themselves really being engaged in reading the mangas, and you can see, as you see the people, you really know that these people are really manga lovers.
Respect and politeness are at the very heart of Japanese culture. The Imperial Hotel in downtown Tokyo is a great example of Japanese hospitality at its very finest. Of interest to us was that American architect Frank Lloyd Wright designed the second incarnation of the hotel, and you can still see his influence today throughout this beautiful and amazing hotel. The hotel has had 3 different additions. Can you tell me 1, 2, and 3?
The first Imperial Hotel was built in 1890 at the request of a foreign minister. But this first hotel became old as time went by, and was rebuilt in 1923. As a result of Mr. Aisaku Hayashi, who was an antique dealer at the time in New York, before in New York, had many friends, and one of the friends was Frank Lloyd Wright. He asked Mr. Wright to design the second Imperial Hotel for him. Now, in 1970, this current version was built. There are 931 rooms and 1,800 staff members.
We are in a very famous suite in the hotel, and earlier you mentioned Frank Lloyd Wright as one of the architects of one of the additions of the hotel. This suite is incredibly historic and famous, huh?
Yes, this is the Wright Suite, as we call it. So as you can see, the carpet is Wright's design. The lighting is also by Wright, as well as the furniture. So everything here is derived from Wright.
For someone who knows nothing about the Imperial Hotel, what would you say that makes it so special, so unique?
Our goal is to make customers feel that this is not a 931-room hotel, but just tens of rooms of hotel. We want to provide our customers the level of service that is possible at smaller facilities. We want to be that attentive to each customer.
The hospitality of your staff is absolutely a triple class A. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. The Harajuku district of Tokyo is, as the young people would say, awesome. And there are many, many young people in this area. It's the modern fashion hub for Tokyo, now famous all over the world. Tomatsu Yagihara is largely responsible for the development of this must-visit district, and he spoke to us outside of one of his shops in the heart of Harajuku. He then guided us through literally a sea of people. So you're the president of the area, or the chairman of the area, huh? Yeah?
So he's not just only the president of the store association in Harajuku, but he's one of the founders of how Harajuku nowadays is. So he wants to be the PR man of the Harajuku to send out the information to the world. He's not just representing Harajuku, but also Shibuya district itself. And especially having an Olympic game in 2020, he wanted to be more active on PRing this area.
Do you own some stores here? This store is yours.
Yes.
Do you have just one store?
He owns 7 stores in Harajuku, this one and one next door, and a couple others in Harajuku area.
So as we walk around, we see lots of young people and lots of energy, huh?
For 50 years I've been living in this city. I've been growing up with this city. I feel like this area has been good publicity being a kawaii culture district. And now that many Japanese girls living in local cities wanted to come to Harajuku, as well as international friends, young people wanted to come to Harajuku.
So now it's known all over the world for gathering for young people and also for fashion.
Because of this great popularity, now many businesses wanting to have their first store in Harajuku so that they can have the best publicity to Japan and into the world.
Tell them about how special it is.
In Harajuku, in just about 1 mile radius area, there is Harajuku, Ura Harajuku, and Omotesando, 3 different fashion category districts, and you won't regret it once you come to Harajuku. You will have great fun.
Over the next few weeks, we'll be offering programs produced throughout Japan and focused on education, technology, innovation, culture, and of course, Japan's role in the region and in the world. Enjoy these upcoming programs as This is America visits Japan. For information about This Is America and the World and online video for all of our programs, visit our website, thisisamerica.net. And now you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. This Is America and the World is brought to you by the National Education Association, the U.S.-China Education Trust, and the F.Y. Chang Foundation, guided by Ambassador Julia Chang Block, President. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. ANA, Japan's largest airline with an extensive network throughout Asia. Japan, history, hospitality, and advanced technology, sharing tomorrow. The Republic of Kazakhstan, a rich history and a future of development and growth. The Rotendaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings. And Ventana Productions, television facilities, editing, and distribution services.